Ready?
Yes.
Which of these machine learning terms is not related to data dimensionality reduction?
It's not related, right?
Not related, yeah. C. Principal component analysis. D. Policy iteration.
Policy iteration.
That was quick.
Hello world, it's Suraj. And in this video, I have Kamil Debowski with me. Kamil is a competitive programmer, but not just any competitive programmer. He's one of the best competitive programmers in the world. He's an international grandmaster on Codeforces, and he's won a bunch of competitive programming competitions. And so what I want you to do in this game show video is I want you to follow along as I ask him a series of machine learning and programming questions. And what I want you to do is to try to understand his mental model of how he's solving these problems. And what that's going to do for you ultimately is help you on your programming journey. And hopefully we'll have a lot of fun while doing it, all right? So make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's get started.
All right, Kamil, how's it going?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I have been watching your live streams on YouTube. They've been so impressive. And guys, if you haven't seen Kamil's YouTube channel, absolutely go check it out. Subscribe to him on YouTube. He has one of the most valuable free live streams. I don't even think you've monetized your videos yet, have you?
Not really, maybe like 1 or 2 out of 100. So yeah, I do mainly videos on YouTube, some live streams as well, and also I stream on Twitch. Same nickname, Erichta.
In this game show, Kamil, I want to ask you 5 questions. It's called Who Wants to Be a Code Millionaire? And these are existing competitive programming questions that exist on several databases on the web. But what I've done is I've modified them to make them a lot easier to understand. So they're multiple choice instead of code input that you're usually used to. And they're not just the normal categories that you're used to, they're also math and machine learning. So we kind of want to switch it up, have a little fun. It's not like legit competitive programming, you know, where you have code input. It's going to be multiple choice. So, and if you answer all 5 questions in a row, then you will win a prize, which is a signed copy of my book, Decentralized Applications. I will send to you. And at the very end, if you can answer all 5 questions correctly, then you'll have a chance to answer one more question, which will be the hardest question, and that will be a code input. You can either choose to take the prize and go, or you can choose to risk it all and code at the very end, the hardest question. And if you get that correctly, you'll get the book, and I will send you a flash drive, which contains a song that I've never released before. So just a fun little reward to keep things interesting. All right. So are you ready to play Who Wants to Be a Code Millionaire?
I'm ready, and I would say I'm excited, especially about the song part. So let's try to go for the full prize.
Okay, perfect. Let's get started with this. And by the way, you have 3 lifelines that you can use at any point. Just like the show Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You can either phone a friend, literally you can phone a friend, or I can phone a friend for you, 50-50, which removes 2 of the multiple choice questions, or ask the audience. In this case, we don't have an audience. I am your audience, so I will give you a hint. All right, so let's get started with the first question. The first question is, your program is to use the brute force approach in order to find the answer to life, the universe, and everything. More precisely, rewrite small numbers from input to output. Stop processing input after reading in the number 42. All numbers at input are integers of 1 or 2 digits. I'll let you read the sample input and output while I read out each questions in the style of this game show. Is the answer A, this while loop, B, this for loop, C, this while loop, or D, this for loop? And keep in mind, whenever you answer, you have to also explain why you chose that answer.
So I'm a bit unfortunate because it's Python, not C++, so I will never be 100% sure about, for example, reading the input.
Yeah.
For example, like once we just cast input to int, in the other it seems that you cast input to int, but you treat this as an array of integers. If it's line by line, so we don't split by space or something, I would say it will be one of the while loops. And also, well, B and D, they are kind of stupid because they just print 42. They say if 42, then print. So I'm guessing that the reading is correct in AC. And then, yeah, we have if 42 then break. Okay, that might be tricky. I don't want to print 42. So if n is 42 then break, I don't get to print, otherwise print. Then I would say answer A. While true, n is read something. If n is 42 then break, otherwise print n.
Okay, is A your final answer?
Yes, it is my final answer.
All right, here we go. And you're correct. The answer is A. Great work. Yes. Awesome work. Let's continue moving on to question 2 so we can go to the next slide. Now, before I actually ask you question 2, let me ask you 2 personal questions, Kamil. The first question I want to ask you is, what is competitive programming in your own words?
It's mind sport, just like chess. It's much younger than chess, so much fewer people are engaged with that. They know the rules and so on, but it's a lot related to computer science, so that's how people start with that. So yeah, it's like computer science / math related problems and puzzles, sometimes even math puzzles, but you need to implement them.
And do you still find it fun after doing this for 7 years now?
For sure, otherwise I wouldn't keep doing it. So yeah, for me it's fun because it's also about competition. There are online contests once every few days and I can compete with others, best in the world. Sometimes I will get placed in top 5, sometimes I will be outside of top 100, but you know, that's the fun that you need to fight to get to the top.
Absolutely. And what got you first interested in this competitive programming sport?
I did a lot of math in school. And I would say at the beginning of high school, my older colleague recommended informatics Olympiad to me. So this is how I started with competitive programming. I was very good at math, and then I started checking out those problems in online platforms online.
That's awesome. I can relate in that I used to go to math competitions when I was younger. I wasn't as gifted as you are, but I did do them. And I can see how that can influence you later in life, clearly, to be interested in math, like a lifelong love.
Maybe it's not that you weren't talented, but you didn't spend like 10 years of your life on just doing math. And then, you know, let's say 5 years just doing algorithms. I think you went into machine learning, for example. I just did 2 months in total in my life of machine learning. So, you know, it's a trade-off.
It is a trade-off. And speaking of machine learning and mathematics, that brings us to our next question. So let's get back to our next question. And that question is, what rule is this in calculus? I'm not going to read it because that would actually give away the answer, but I will read out the answers. Is it A, the power rule, B, the function rule, C, the chain rule, or D, the derivation rule?
I know those characters in the formula. I know that it's derivative, but I never heard the name for this particular rule. And, you know, also a chain would make sense here. It won't be power. I don't think it will be function. I would say that's like 10% for answer C and 90% for D. And just like previously, it didn't help me that it was Python rather than C++. Here, it doesn't help me that it's English rather than in Polish because I never studied math in English. But well, you need to take risks. I won't waste my lifelines now. So if I see derivative, I will say that's derivation rule, answer D.
Let me also just say as a caveat that I did not consider that these rules could be named differently in Polish. Is that the case?
I saw this formula 100 times in my life and I used it maybe more times, but it just, I would actually call it like chain derivation or something like that, because it's like derivative of function of the other function. So this is why I said both options C and D make sense. I'm quite sure that in Polish it isn't named chain. In Polish that would be łańcuch, and I'd never heard that word.
But you clearly have the logic of, you know that it is a chain of sorts.
Then with this, I think I might need to use a lifeline. Maybe this is a reasonable solution.
Absolutely. It's time for a lifeline. Which one would you like to use? 50-50, phone a friend, or ask the host?
Let's think. I never participated in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I wonder what's now the probability if I choose 50-50 that it will distinguish the two options. So
You'll have to
if
find
it's
out.
indeed one of those, yeah. So what? You're my audience, right?
I'm your audience.
Then I will ask my audience, who I think speaks English and knows machine learning.
So far, so good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me pull myself. I'm looking at it, and I'm going to think that it's going to be definitely C, in my opinion, as an audience member.
Okay, if 100% of the audience votes for C, then I will not try my luck in any other answer, and yeah, I will mark C, the chain rule.
Okay, C, final answer?
C, final answer.
Let's check that out. You got it. All right, great work. That was amazing. What a relief. All right, great work. So now I'm going to ask you two more personal questions before we get to the third question. Okay, so this is a game of sorts. Do you play any video games?
I do. In particular, in maybe several days ago, I played Among Us, also during a stream with my viewers. Or like a week earlier, I gathered a few high-rated competitive programmers to play. Not all of them were experienced in the game, but still, they are not stupid people. Right? But it's similar to playing any kind of board game or something like Mafia. But this is just a recently popular game, the Among Us. What I played when I was, I don't know, a child. I always liked strategy games, like Heroes of Might and Magic, Total War games. I wasn't fan of FPS or anything like that. But I played some Call of Duty, for example. Call of Duty 2 and 4, to Medieval 2, Total War, stuff like that.
Okay, and then one more question before we get to the third question here, and that is, how did you learn to program when you were younger?
I didn't know English good enough to follow some English tutorials, so I learned from Polish websites. I just, I think, Googled, in Polish, how to learn programming. I just found some course, and it was in Pascal. My second language learned is C++, actually from the same website. They also, I think later they added C++ course. It was also a website describing what is Polish Olympiad in informatics. So this is why I went for this particular course. And I did a lot of problems online. I created maybe one or two HTML websites, whatever everybody tries, but mainly I did online problems and competitions.
Got it. So really the competitions were a crucial part of your upbringing and your enthusiasm for this.
For sure.
Stuff. Got it. Well, it's great to know. Let's keep going with this. All right. So question 3, we've got an input and an output, and I'll let you read it first.
Those are called test cases if, like, separately we need to solve for several inputs.
Yes.
And a sample input and output, they show that for 3, the answer is 0, 60, 14. For 100, the answer is 24. 1024, that's a power of 2. The answer is 253. And so on. They told me to compute z or z of n, single non-negative integer, without defining that. Well, here they don't even need to define it if I have the sample input output and I have several codes. It would be even possible to skip the statement completely and just compare every code with the sample input output. For example, in A, we create times equal to 0, and just after that we print times. So this would only print zeros. I don't see any other print. And this way we can analyze every code, I guess.
Correct.
So let's go through codes. Though, just judging from sample input output, it seems that answer is around input divided by 4. Like input divided by 4 minus 1, or maybe just something rounded down. But I don't see any divided by 4 in codes. So I think I need to go through that one by one. Or maybe it's a coincidence that it's always divided by 4. Because it doesn't really match exactly. 1024 divided by 4 would be 256, not 253. Okay, B, what is B? For every j, from 1 to, I think this is num minus 1, floor of num divided by 5 at power j. And increase the answer by that, print the answer. So take this 60, divide by 5, that will be 12. Then divided by 5 again, it would be 2, and then 0. 12 plus 2 is 14. That would match. Num is input number. Okay, then it seems I decide about for loops. Yeah, this divided by power of 5 seems reasonable, and I think the answer will be B or C.
We're getting somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just about the difference of the range. Whether I want j from 1 to num or num minus 1 for 3. What if both those codes are correct? Maybe there is some other difference. The thing is, if there's like 60, I believe that one of those codes, it will compute 60 divided by 5 plus 60 divided by 25, and then every other term doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter if I try 60 divided by 5 to 60. That might matter only for small input. So what do we do now? What if num is 1?
Yeah.
Then one code will produce 0, the other will produce 1. What if the answer is, what if input is 3? 3 divided by 5, this is 0 in both cases. Actually, I'm starting to believe that B and C are correct. What are the rules of this?
There's only one correct answer, but you're on the absolute right path right now.
So there must be a difference between B and C, or maybe both are wrong and it's just something else. I'm trying to just compare character by character.
And let me just say this. If it is the case that they both have the same output, then the correct answer would be the one that is the most memory efficient.
Well, then the first one seems, if that's the only difference, the one step in iteration, then I would say that B seems enough because it's only up to num minus 1. The only difference is that C additionally tries a number num divided by 5 at power num. That's the one only difference. The thing is, if num is 1, that's 1 divided by 5. If num is 2, that's 2 divided by 25. Both floored will give us 0. Num 0 is impossible. The statement said that it's at least 1. Anyway, it would be 0. So yeah, it seems that that last step always adds 0 to the answer. And if that's so, then though it seems safer to mark C, it seems safer to say that, well, C adds 0, but that's maybe just in case, let's add it. I will say that B is just a little bit more efficient, so let's go with B.
B, final answer?
B, final answer.
All right, you got it. Congratulations, awesome work. All right. So before we go on to the next question, let me ask you another 2 questions. So, obviously as a kid growing up, math and programming were interests of yours. What other interests did you have?
As a kid?
Yeah.
Well, video games we already talked about.
Yeah.
What else is there? I played football, volleyball with friends.
Competitive, like football, like with a score?
No. Just, going in the afternoon or evening to play with a few friends, and that's it.
Oh.
Or even in my backyard with just two guys or something.
Within computer science, what is one subfield that currently interests you the most?
That will be obviously algorithms, because this is what I do.
Right.
Maybe not only because they are more interesting to me than other fields, but also, it feels nice to be very good at something. And that's important for competing, and that's also important for teaching. If you want to teach anything, you should be good at it.
Yes.
So if I'm good at competitive programming, so basically algorithms already, then I want to be in this field. This is where I can work.
Yeah.
Algorithms.
Algorithms makes a lot of sense. Back to the basics. Not really the basics, just the fundamentals. The fundamentals of CS never get old, do they? Okay.
They will always be needed below all the fancy things, or maybe along with math, but algorithms are very much related to math. So it's not that I can do one without the other. Math is always there.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to question 4. Question 4. We have an input, 2 integers, a and b, and the output is going to be a wrong answer of a minus b.
We need to mess up exactly one digit in the difference between a and b.
Correct.
If there are multiple answers, the very end of output section, if there are multiple answers satisfying the above conditions, any one will do. And let's see the sample input. The difference will be 4, 6 to 4. 4, 6 to 4, and they messed up the first digit.
Correct.
Makes
It's a 1
sense.
instead of a 4.
Yeah, and I think they weren't in output details about leading zeros. 0, 6 to 4 will be rejected. Fine.
Oh.
Yeah, B seems easy. B seems like an easy code, so let's read. Grab the difference, take the D plus 1, and I'm guessing that later we print J. Even if we print that, it should be wrong, because if difference is 999, then adding 1 will mess up the number completely.
Good thought.
Okay, D is the next shorter thing. What do we have here? Take the difference, take it to the 10th power, grab the last digit, print the sum of 2. I'm assuming that I know Python well enough to understand that there's a power, D to 10th power, and if yes, that's just some huge number. Doesn't make any sense. So let's move on. A or C. In both, we take the difference. In both, X is just cut the last digit. So from 1 to 3, we will just be left with 1, 2. We get rid of the last digit, but Y is the last digit. At the end, they print this number back. X times 10 plus Y would just print the number. And there is some difference of ifs. In 1, if Y is 1, then change it like this. In the other, if it's 9, change it like that. The first one will be bad. I think A is wrong code, because if Y is 9, there will be no change. If Y is 1, then do something else, Y becomes 9. If Y is already 9, we just do assignment Y is 9. Nothing happens. In code C, if 1 is 9, then change it to 0, otherwise change it to 9. Yeah, I think that 9 isn't really important there. They could put like, if Y is 5, then do something else, Y is 5. But yeah, give me 10 more seconds to make sure, but I'm likely going to mark C. Cut the last digit, take the last digit, Y is the last digit. In some case, put 0 there. You will not mess up the answer. Yep, C. C is my final answer.
Final answer. All right, let's check it out. Correct. Good job. Awesome. So we have 4 questions that you have now correctly answered out of 5. You have 1 more to answer. And if you answer that one, you get 1,000,000 points, and then you get a copy of my book.
Nice.
So before we go to the last question, let me ask you 2 more questions about yourself. The first question is, what is one controversial opinion that you have? You can say anything.
You warned me of some questions, and in particular this one. I already gave it a thought. And I would say that it's privacy. I would say that privacy isn't that important, like both privacy in the internet, but also like camera security or something like that, where, there is some trade-off between privacy and safety. For example, I would be fine if everywhere on roads and in cities, let's say outside an apartment, there would be cameras everywhere. If we forget about the cost of that, that's very expensive. I don't care that I would be like possibly observed by the government, but it's for safety. The number of crimes would, I think, decrease a lot. And it's a bit similar in the internet or just with phones. I'm fine with big guys listening to us. And thanks to that, we can avoid terrorist attacks. And I understand dangers of all of that. Like nobody says that all governments are good and they will be good. But still, I would say that I don't care about my privacy that much. It's not that I want everybody to just spy on me. I want equal rights for everybody. I'm just saying that if there would be any voting, if there was any voting, I would vote for just a lot of security rather than privacy.
That is a controversial opinion. You were right.
I think so.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that before. I don't think I have. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen the movie The Circle with Emma Watson and Tom Hanks?
The Circle.
There's a social network like Facebook that is getting bigger and bigger. And the idea is that secrets are immoral. That's always stuck with me. I've seen that movie like years ago, but in the future where like literally everything is live stream, like you're in the bathroom, you're like intimate with somebody, in the bedroom, whatever, you always have an always on live stream. And the idea that you could ever have a secret is immoral. What do you think of that idea?
I see how it's like even more radical, like even more extreme. And yeah, doesn't seem nice, including example you described, but I understand it. Right? If there was a need for that, for example, if terrorist attacks happened all the time, stuff like that, if really safety of a lot of people was based on this, then I wouldn't say it's a crazy idea. A related movie might be Minority Report.
Yeah, great movie.
Where they stop a crime before it happens because of some predicting stuff. And yeah, there's also a thing then, can we punish a person for going to commit a crime? Can we punish a person for going to commit a crime?
Okay. Right.
Yeah, and that might be related.
Absolutely. It's such a great movie, Minority Report. And these movies and ideas and stories always serve to inspire me to continue learning computer science because they're so badass, basically. I also want to ask you, how do you stay motivated?
Maybe question should be how I went through university or something where I did stuff I don't like that much. And the answer is I didn't graduate. So that's your answer.
You didn't graduate. That's awesome. Me neither.
I think it's the first time I hear, oh, you didn't graduate. That's awesome.
Really? Yeah. Well, I'm a dropout too, so.
I attended university for several years and I did a lot of subjects. I met people and those are, I think, 2 important things. And I already, in the middle of university, I knew what I like to do and I keep doing it now. I'm very happy with my job and generally what I do, also for free, like the streams, the YouTube thing. And it's not that I'm missing something. But the answer to how I feel motivated is sadly, I don't have some special techniques. I like doing what I do. And if I need to do something boring, tedious, I will struggle to do that. Yeah, if I need to, I will do it, but I'm not really motivated. I cannot force myself to motivate.
Yeah, I think that's a really crucial point that we should all remember, in that it doesn't even matter. Motivation is irrelevant as long as you're genuinely interested in a subject. You don't actually need to do anything to stay motivated. You just will be. So that's really great to hear. All right, let's get on to the last question, question 505. And this question is closest to my heart. I didn't pull this from anywhere. I just made this question, which is, which of these machine learning terms is not related to data dimensionality reduction? Is it A, T, distributed stochastic neighbor embeddings, B, self-organizing maps, C, principal component analysis, or D, policy iteration? And you have 2 lifelines.
Okay. I know, for example, what is linear regression, but I don't think it will help me here.
Oh, I mean, it's great that you know regression. Great that you mentioned that. It could help you, actually.
What else do I know? Randomized, or what are they called? Monte Carlo forests? Still, none of the 4 answers.
Random forests, that is a technique.
Yeah. I will for sure use lifelines, but let me think. Neighbor embeddings sounds a lot like dealing with data dimensionality reduction.
Really good thought.
Self-organizing maps, that's so vague. That could be a term that somebody not doing machine learning that just came up with to, I don't know, for some investor meeting. Yeah, we do self-organizing maps here at Google.
Yeah. Well, let me be more detailed about that one. We're talking about a neural network, specifically called a self-organizing map.
Okay, I see. Principal component analysis, policy iteration. Yeah, now I feel like in school where there is ABCD and I didn't learn for the subject.
Okay, well, we're back at school. Here we go. Everything's on the line right now for 1,000,000 points. I mean, you got so far. Like, this is it. You've got 2 lifelines.
Obvious strategy. You said about some hidden question. Do I have lifelines for that one?
You
or not?
Also have lifelines for the hidden question, the last question.
But it will
bonus.
Be about coding.
It will be about coding. Yeah.
So let me use all my lifelines here. And obvious order is maybe not that obvious, but 50-50 first, please.
Okay, here we go with 50-50. The 2 remaining answers are C and D. So A and B are now eliminated.
Well, I only could say something about A and B. C and D seemed very mysterious.
Yeah.
And then we do friend. I call a friend.
Okay. Do you happen to have a friend who's awake right now that you could actually call and ask this question, who knows something about machine learning?
I think so. By the way, so his name is Peter. Okay. And one thing he did a few years ago as his master's thesis, I'm not even sure now, with a friend, they created artificially created music, like of different genres, like, heavy metal, classic music, and so on.
Yeah.
Hello?
Cześć. Can we speak English?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Hi, Piotr.
Hi.
I'm on how is this called?
Who Wants to Be a Code Millionaire hosted by Siraj?
Who Wants to Be Code Millionaire hosted by Siraj, some YouTube show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I have a machine learning question. It's the last one for 1 million points. It's not really equivalent to $1 million, but still worth a lot.
Oh, all the same.
And it will be, you are my last lifeline.
Oh,
So,
wow.
You cannot mess this up.
Yeah. I'll try.
Are you ready?
Yes. Come on.
Okay. I will read the question, and once I think I start reading, there will be 60-second countdown. And I already took 50-50, so there are only 2 possibilities for an answer. Ready?
Yes.
Which of these machine learning terms is not related to data dimensionality reduction?
It's not related, right?
Not related, yeah. C, principal component analysis. D, policy iteration.
Policy iteration.
That was quick. So principal component analysis is related to data dimensionality reduction.
Correct.
That was easy. Then I will mark policy iteration. By the way, the remaining two answers was TSNE and self-organizing maps.
Yeah, all of this have to do with dimensionality reduction.
All right. We have a signal here.
Yep. Okay. I will trust him. I will say policy iteration, D.
All right. It's locked in. You won Who Wants to Be a Code Millionaire. Congratulations, Ericto. You win a free copy of my book, Decentralized Applications.
I knew that it's worth it to study and to meet people who know machine learning.
Always. That guy knew exactly the answer. He didn't even hesitate. So awesome work. You have won the game, and now you have two options. Option one is you can take the prize and leave, or option two is you can try to answer the bonus question, which is not multiple choice and is the hardest one. And if you answer that question correctly, you get both the book and an extra prize, the flash drive with an unreleased song on it. What do you want to do?
Well, the song is compelling enough that I will take a risk.
Awesome.
So let's go for the final question, final code question.
All right, here we go. And so for this one, you're going to need to have a text editor up and screen share eventually. But to start off, here's the question. We can move on to the last slide. It's called Byteland. It's from CodeChef.
Yep. I'm not sure I understand the statement, but there is fortunately example explained. I believe that from 12, they create, the output is 13. We'll see. You can change 12 into 6 for free, then change this into 13. If you try to change coin 2 into 3 smaller coins, you will get this. Okay, I see. So if we have a big coin, we keep changing it into 3 smaller coins. Like 100 will be changed to 50, 33, and 25, I believe.
Correct.
And that should be more than the initial value, because half plus 1/3 plus 1/4 is bigger than 1, right? Like 50% plus 33 plus 25, it is 108 or so percent.
Correct.
So if no rounding happens, we do the exchange.
You're thinking about this correctly. Yep.
And once we have some small values, then it will stop being that good. The rounding will happen. Just like they explained that coin 2, you don't exchange because you will just get 0, 0, and 1. Then, first question I'm thinking about is whether I can just, with brute force, simulate this. If from billion I create those 500 million, 1/3, 1/4, and I will keep doing that, what will be my complexity? I think that
brute force works. There's no optimality doesn't matter in this case, as long as you can get the correct output.
Great. Just for the convenience of everybody, I will create a function. It gets n. And we'll try to do something. If I don't care that much about complexity, it will be similar to some dynamic programming, recursive dynamic programming without even memorization, where just like with Fibonacci number, we run Fibonacci of n-1 and n-2.
Yeah.
So I guess that something like this will happen. But the question is what to do here, how to decide. And well, I have a choice, either to leave, either to stay with n, I mean, change this into the dollars, or I can make an operation. It seems that I can just take maximum. I thought that I will need to like work with paper to figure out for what values and which thing is better, but my program can do it for me. Maybe even I could do this. The issue will be some infinite loop for sure. This should be enough. If the value is 0, then I don't get anything for this. And if I ever needed to speed this up, I would slap some memoization at the top of that. There will be here some map, but we can even run it without it. Let's print f of, I think, 12. Let's print f of 2. I believe it should be 13 and 2.
Yeah.
And I didn't include something, I'm guessing. Max, yeah, I need to cast. Because one was long, one was int.
Nice.
Seems right.
There it is. Congratulations, Ericto. You have won 2 million points. So you were the first person to play this game. And not only are you the first person to play this game, you're the first person to win this game in its entirety. You get a free copy of my book and you get the flash drive with the unreleased song I will be sending it to you after this. Thank you so much for playing. How do you feel right now?
Thank you. Oh, I feel amazing. I want to thank like all my family, you for hosting this amazing show. I'm actually going to subscribe to you because while I don't really follow machine learning, I'm going to watch this show from now on. It seems quite new. And also I'm happy that I didn't mess it up and I had somebody knowing his stuff with machine learning. That's a plus as well. Yeah, thanks for having me.